Hello, hello. I am going live with my friend Patryce King, who's coming on here in just a minute or a few seconds from now. And, we are going to be talking about the True Self Summit, and I'm really excited to talk to Patryce about it. So let me see if we can get her on. Right. Here we go.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Patrice. How are you?
I'm so excited
Same
to
here.
see your beautiful face. Oh my gosh, let's get my glasses on. Woo, okay, that's much better.
I am so excited to see your beautiful face, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. So, before we start to have the conversation about the True Self Summit and everything, will you just tell everyone what it is that you do?
Oh my gosh. Well, I am a professional pianist and I am a master piano teacher. So I have been practicing
Mm.
piano for 40 years. And I know that you studied as a little girl as well. We might have to circle the interview back to that in one way or another. And then I have been teaching adult students and little people how to play the piano
Wow.
for almost 30 years. So I'm a
That's
musician
so
in
amazing.
Austin, Texas,
I love that.
USA.
And you and I met through Elementum Coaching Institute. And why did you want to get into coaching or learn more about coaching?
You know, Katie, it
Mhm.
was the pandemic. We were all at home. A lot of navigating online piano lessons, which was a beautiful alternative to in-person lessons. And I
Mm.
needed something different. I needed a new crowd of humans. I needed something different to think about. And I have always been really
Mm.
fascinated with human development and had met Preston Smiles through a different program. And when I signed up for Elementum, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I was the kind of the sprite, the kind of weird creative among all of these sort of established coaches and therapists and psychologists. And so that's how I got involved. I was looking for a new crowd. I was looking for something different to think about. I was looking to study and advance my spirit and my soul, and
That's
that felt right at
incredible.
the time.
And then since then, you and I and about 10 other coaches, that are the True Self Summit, we decided to stay together in a mastermind, so we were doing this mastermind together for about a year. And then we started to talk about doing this True Self Summit, right? Like, what was your impetus or reason why you wanted to do this True Self Summit?
Katie, honest to God, I do my best to hang out with people who are smarter than me, who have skills that are beyond mine. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, my friend. I no
that is
idea.
that is so funny.
What I did know is that I really admired the initial Blue Lotus mastermind group. And I knew that there were behaviors of these women that I wanted
Mm.
to bestow myself. Organization, you guys are pretty calm. You do things in a timely manner. Not that all of that is so fiercely foreign to me, but I think in order for us to expand, we need to be rubbing elbows with people who are different than us, and we to be rubbing elbows with people and women that we really admire. And from so I've admired you and all of the women a part of Blue Lotus. I felt super
Well,
lucky to
I
be
totally
invited.
admire you. I noticed and admired you even when we were in Elementum, and before I really got to know you super well, I was always like drawn to you and your energy, because you're so dynamic. You're also so creative, and that's one of the things you're going to be talking about at this True Self Summit, right? Like tell everyone, like, what is your topic at the True Self Summit, and what are you going to be presenting about?
Thank you for that compliment, Katie. Like light on light, we see in each other what we are. I love that. Thank you, Iriva. My talk is titled "How to Spark 7 Ways to Spark Your Creativity." And for years, like I said, I've been at this piano thing, and was blessed with a mom who was fiercely creative. And for me, I have this understanding that we are all innately creative. I believe that wholeheartedly, and how we express our creativity is going to be very, very different. My friend Nancy in Italy expresses her creativity by making an exquisite cheese and meat tray with grapes, the dollop of grapes in her. My friend Leah expresses her creativity by taking the zucchini from her garden and making bread. I feel that we as adults in particular can get trapped in what we believe that society is to, I'm supposed to be this way as an adult, and I'm supposed to behave this way. And if we can give ourselves permission to just lighten up a little bit, have more fun, and ask, the inner child, like that deep part of your soul, what do I crave?
I'm feeling into that question right in this very second. Yeah, I so agree. I mean, I work with a lot of creatives, and this time, especially like since the writer strike just is ending and the actor strike is still continuing. However, everyone's feeling a little stuck. It's like, what are we doing right now? How are we doing things? Like, are we getting back into, work or not? All of this stuff. And so I really think that, allowing ourselves to get into our creativity is a beautiful way to get unstuck, not just for your creative mind and your creative projects, but also when it comes to your financial life. I always tell people, like, financial flow comes from the same source as your creative flow.
Oh my baby, yes, yes. And just a bit of a selfish question, because I'm such a teacher. Do you feel in any way that your lessons and your study of piano, and I know that you were highly involved in the creative arts as a little girl, do you think that has informed your path as in your career and as a
Absolutely.
money coach? I can't
Absolutely.
help it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I don't think I would have even gone down this path of money and financial wellness without even my creative career as a freelance TV producer, right? Because if I was still, let's say, a journalist, which I was in my first career in my life, as a journalist, I was very much I wouldn't say 9 to 5, because, the news kind of just goes on and on and on. However, I would work my 8-hour shift. I would get a paycheck every 2 weeks. I would get benefits. I was paid through a company. So it was more of a corporate gig than as a freelance TV producer. And as a freelance TV producer, it was like, I don't know when the next show is going to happen, right? Like we went from TV show to TV show, and not until, I worked on The Bachelor for 5 years. That was like the longest gig and show I've ever worked on. But everything else I worked on, it was like, oh, we would, it would last like 3 to 6 months, and then it was over, right? And then you had to figure out what was the next thing. And no one was like handing out, the next show or the next, the next thing. So I had to figure that out, right? And I was like, well, how do people do this? How do people like even think about saving up for a house or retirement or any of those things without knowing when your next paycheck was even going to be here, or, if you're ever even going to work, right? Like we go through those cycles so much. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and so in a way, you were invited, if not forced, to use your creativity to find ways to nurture
Yes.
yourself and provide for yourself and your and and your family, just to be in a place of peace. And I can't help but beg the question, is joy, is peace, is curiosity, is money management, is creativity, is all of that something we can cultivate? I
Say hell yes
hell
to.
yes to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you, I
Yeah.
also agree that we are all creative, right? And that's like my coaching comes from that space of really believing that every single person in front of me is creative, resourceful, and whole. And there's no one that is broken, and that we can come together from that place of understanding, so that I'm not here to fix you, but instead I can guide you towards whatever goals and intentions that you want to have in your life.
Oh my gosh, Katie, you're the real MVP, my dear. Honestly, goosebumps. The notion of everyone being resourceful and whole. I think as the wild creative, I see a body of adults begging to find a way to write their screenplay, to write their song, to create their piece of art. And it doesn't take as much as they think. And it's not just for little
Absolutely
kids.
not. And I think in some ways, like sometimes I've lost that sense of creative play. Like I think play is so important, right? And it's part of creativity. And is that something that you're going to touch upon in the workshop as well? The summit this week?
Katie,
Oh,
would you be willing to play
absolutely.
with me right now?
Okay.
Off. Here we go. All right. So we're going to go on just a narrative story. We're just going to create a story, and I'm going to start the story, and then I'm going to poof like that, bounce it to you.
Okay.
And when you're finished, you poof,
All right.
bounce it back to me. You ready? Once upon a time, there was this adorable little monkey in the woods. He was walking along, and he didn't quite have a name yet, but he saw a grasshopper, and that grasshopper named the monkey George.
George was a very curious little monkey. He actually wanted to go visit the big city, and he ran to his family and said, I'm off to the big city and to see what is out there instead of being in this jungle. And he wandered into the big city, and then he
Well, then he met the one and only Katie. She just happened to be sitting there in the big city with her husband, her mom, and her best friend. And George walked up to Katie and said, Katie, I've heard about the True Self Summit. What the heck is the True Self Summit, and why would a monkey be invited, and what's all this VIP business? I'm already a VIP. That's what George knows. He's a VIP.
And I love that there is a George in our comments, and I know him. Big Wheel is what I call him. But he's like, I like this story already. Okay. And then so, yes, to be a VIP, you get to join all of us in, in creating more story, creating your story, and creating a community. And we get to come together and be in communion in a way. And also to get your questions answered. We also have some, hot seat coaching available, and it's also just a way for all of us to come together and support each other, right? Because when we started to come from this place of creative, resourceful, and whole, it's also from a place of that us. Even though, yes, we went through an Elementum Training Institute, we've done all of this stuff, Patryce is a master pianist, and, I was a TV producer as well as a, financial wellness coach, but we don't know more than you, right? Like, you know you more than anyone else. And so this True Self Summit is also about you discovering, like, yes, I actually know who I am, what I'm here to do, what my purpose is, and to really tap into that authentic, beautiful self so that you can actually amplify that to the world and shine your light into the world. Yeah.
Mm. I love that. You're absolutely glowing, my friend.
Yes.
Good, doesn't it? It feels good and it's my belief that when we are soaring, when there is goodness, we're kind of shaking hands with God. There's this co-creation of deep and abiding goodness. And when we are in alignment in healthy fitness when it comes to our finances, holding hands with God, when we're in alignment with giving ourselves permission to express our creativity, we're shaking hands with God. And I, on a felt sense, can feel sort of my center and my spirit just, it's settled and soaring at the same time, because I'm writing and sharing the very gifts that I believe God gave me.
And like, one of my favorite Bible verses is that the parable of the talents, right? And the parable of the talents in the book of Matthew talks about, the word talent represents money, but in our current vernacular, it represents our God-given gifts, right? And, the whole story is about how we're not supposed to just bury our talents and our money in the ground. Instead, it's like, when we're given these resources, it's so important that we do more with it. We multiply it, we shine it out in the world, and not say no thank you to God, because that is a slap in the face, right? Instead, when we are able to shine those gifts and talents out into the world and utilize our resources for good and to do more with it, then we are actually rewarded too. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that combines both of our worlds, right? The creativity and the money as well, so yeah.
It's the steady circulation of the gifts, the art, the finances, the freedom.
Yes, freedom. And freedom starts from the inside, right? Oh, yeah. Most of the time people think there's external things that we can do to create freedom, but that's not really true. You can feel freedom if you do other things, right? Like, you can say, oh yes, I feel free when I'm traveling, or I can feel that sense of freedom when I'm, listening to music and in the car and having the wind blow through my hair. However, it doesn't last unless you start from the inside.
Yeah. And then it grows, and then you hit a bump on the inside, and you're more equipped to take care of it.
Who do you think this True Self Summit is for?
everybody. We're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to niche to your people. Well, I mean, honestly, the topics are so broad that this True Self Summit, in my humble opinion, is sincerely interested, particularly in anyone who cares to advance their thinking. I think it's that
Yes,
simple.
absolutely. Is there anything that you're looking forward to the most?
Oh man, I am such a believer of being in community and learning from your community members. So I am sincerely just looking forward to being in community with my team, our team in particular. So I feel really lucky. We have a dream team on Friday. You kick off the day at 12 o'clock noon CST, 10 a.m. time. Then Shell Cartmill, she's been very instrumental in the back end in the organization and making that happen. And then I'll be the third speaker, Creativity and Joy, 7 Ways to Spark Your Creativity. And then we'll end the day with Zach. So I've carved out the entire day from teaching. I am very committed to my piano students. So I've done some juggling to make it happen. And so yeah, just I'm a bit obsessed with humanoids, as Steph would say
Yes,
it.
absolutely. Yes, me too. Me too. I'm so excited to meet everyone, to talk to everyone, to also really learn from every single one of you, like you and Shell and Zach and Annie and every single person who's actually going to be there, because this is an extraordinary group of incredible, you know, practitioners, coaches, healers. You know, we're going to have breath work with the beautiful Michelle and, you know, all of these great things that are going to be happening. And then I always remind everyone that, you know, this is a very different summit. We're not talking at people. We are going to help you to experience and put this into your body and to really embody all of the experiences that we want you to have, right? In order to get to the place where you want to go. Because otherwise, if you're not embodied in it, it's just going to go in one ear and go out the other ear. The next day you're going to forget completely what you even heard, you know. So that's not an experience we want to give to you. We really want you to come away from this 3 days with a feeling like, oh, there are some shifts happening. I can feel it.
Yes, and I have new tools to try things on for size. I think that's the other really exciting thing. As a teacher, I get sort of giddy about the chance of witnessing a grown man say, oh, let me try this storytelling narrative thing on for size with my wife or my children. And who knows, that could lead to some kind of useful solution in the tech job to then bring a little more healing to our global heat. You know, just I really believe that when we carve out time for our creativity, magical things things can happen.
Agree.
So
yeah. So go to the links in our bios. We have the link to the True Self Summit. It is just trueselfsummit.com, so that's pretty easy to remember. But if you don't remember it, go to the links in our bios and we will definitely have those ready for you, and you can go on and join us through these 3 days. It starts tomorrow. Everything starts tomorrow. Patryce and I are going to be talking on Friday, like we said. And then we have also Saturday, the breath work and everything else. And there's also a VIP version of this. So, you know, you can sign up for free. However, there's also a VIP version, which is not very expensive at all. And that VIP version gives you more access to us, more conversations that we can have, and some hot seat coaching, more experiences to create. Okay.
And George, the VIP, is definitely going to be there, and just heard that you get 6 months to review that VIP ticket. So,
Yes.
I mean, George knows a lot of
Absolutely.
things. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Patryce. Me too.
I
Me
adore
too.
you, Katie.
I'll see you
Thank you
soon.
for.
Bye.
Bye.